in here as well.
PR Connections Radio presents.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Evelyn's Roundtable. This podcast highlights a host of relevant topics. Our conversations share voices of women of color, Black women veterans and veterans, allies, candidates, and elected officials, entrepreneurs, teachers, students, and others. We also explore important issues and challenges such as grassroots leadership, job training, homelessness, and mental health advocacy, accountability, male inclusion, and civics. Our mission statement is to empower all women. Do you hear me? All women to hold hands as we rise. Oh, hello, everyone that is listening and paying attention to Evelyn's Roundtable. We have a very, very important guest on here who really, truly indulges, listens to, collaborates, involved in, and in the grassroots, in the trenches with us, everyone, to help veterans, which is a beautiful thing because we all know that here in Nevada, they're not really doing so good right now with veterans, everybody. I'm just telling the truth. And so I'm really happy to have her on here tonight and to talk about, veterans and herself and everything. So without hesitation, everyone, I'd like to introduce T. And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yes. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Tee-Azha. I'm born and raised in Las Vegas. So some people would say I'm a unicorn. I don't know. And a little bit about me. Yeah, I have been in community advocacy for probably about the last 3 or 4 years. Before that, my professional training is in digital marketing. So I did that for about 10 years and just really kind of felt called to switch it up. Like I wanted to do something where I could directly see the impact and just really help people feel seen, feel heard, and help people understand that their voices are important and that they matter and that when the voices are put together, they are loud. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and yeah.
That is something, and you're right. When we come together, that's a nice way of putting it. When we come together, everybody, we're loud
Yes,
and also we speak for those that don't have a voice, and
exactly.
and that's the biggest part. That and the reason why we do it, right? Those that
Absolutely.
don't have a voice is and sometimes it's not because they don't want a voice or can't. It's because they don't know how to, or they're
Yeah,
tired, or there's things going on in their life where they can't put as much time into everything as we do.
absolutely.
So that's a big sum of it too. And so what have you? Because there's a little bit with this. What have you learned with working in the veteran community? What have you learned?
I've learned quite a few things. Just through hearing, different stories. And I'm going to backtrack for a second because I want to be fully transparent. I am fairly new to the veteran space. And, not being a veteran myself, I know that sometimes I have to remember that I will not always be able to speak the same language as veterans, but it is my job to
Mm.
learn and to understand, right? And to grow. And that's the beautiful part about being a community advocate, right? It's that empathy, it's that understanding. And some veterans may not want to talk to me because I don't understand the language and I can't fault them for that, right? But some
Mm.
of the things that I'm learning is that The veteran community is very tight knit here for sure. And it takes a lot of, showing up and showing people that you're here to help, and that you actually genuinely care and you want to help and you're part of this fight with them, right? So yes, I'm an ally, I'm an advocate, and I fight the good fight for the people, honestly, through and through, throughout the board, right? So some of the other things that I'm learning about working with veterans is that some of them, I'm learning specifically about that transition phase. That's what keeps coming up, right? From active duty to veteran status, and I'm hearing a lot of the same stories where it's like, you kind of make that transition and you're out in the real world, and then it's like, now what? And there's kind of that common feeling of feeling lost, and feeling like, some veterans have told me they don't have a sense of like serving anymore because they're not active, and they that causes them to feel lost, and some of them, turn to things that aren't as healthy because they don't know how to fully make that transition or cope with the change. So through that, I have been learning how to find veterans that are in that transition point to be able to help them. Some of our the current veterans that I work with are in that transition right now. And so it's been beautiful to help them. Some of them say they want to start businesses. Okay, cool. I can help you with that. I've started a business before. I have these referrals. I have friends in these spaces that'll be happy to help you with that transition to make sure that it's successful, right? So that is something that I'm learning and I'm hearing a lot about. And it's something that I definitely want to help tackle and help make sure that veterans feel seen and that they don't feel alone, because isolation is another thing that I'm learning about that is very, very, very common within the veteran space. And so that breaks my heart, you know what I mean? Like, because as people, as humans, we need community, we need each other. And so I'm learning that as well. And I know that some veterans have mentioned that it's taken them a lot of time to even get to a comfortable space to be able to even communicate with civilians and kind of be in
Mhm.
civilian spaces. And so, of course, this work takes a lot of care and a lot of patience and a lot of understanding, right? So that's something that we have to practice in our day to day when we're coming across different veterans, because they are everyone has experienced something totally different. So it's a one by one, case basis. And so I look at the person as a whole person and try to understand them and help them in whatever ways that I can, because I know that, we need each other. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. And it's interesting that you bring up isolation and trust. Um it's a lot, and it's something that you talk about civilians, because I talk about that with veteran treatment court. Here you're in veteran treatment court and you're being told to do this, and this, and you have a civilian telling you to do this, and it's like, wow, and it's, I mean, sometimes it's disrespectful on how it's, you know, said in or how they want you to do it, and yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. um
Yeah.
and I mean, you haven't been in it long, but you're in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're there, and you're observing, and like you said, you are learning, and those things, and that means a lot, because you can't, and that's almost with anything that you said. You can't go in there like you know everything, because it doesn't work
Right.
like that.
Right.
I mean, as they call those expertise witnesses, right, or expertise in your area and all that. But you are in it, and you're learning, and it can't be easy all the time either. Like you said, people that you're talking to, and they're thinking to themselves like, really, really. But
Right.
it's good that you're in here, because we still don't have a lot of people, regardless if it's civilians or veterans, that are dedicated to the veteran community, um, and we should be dedicated and be looked at, right? Because we're
Right.
like, what is there, up to 300,000 of us living in this state,
Wow.
and that means that's a lot of votes.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I think you need to be paying attention a little bit. And the most is in Pahrump and north by Aliante up that way, is where most of the veterans, both area, and plus, Ely and Elko, and so up
Yeah.
up north there's a bunch too, right?
Mhm.
Um, but even though you haven't been in this situation and that long, what how do you okay, this is gonna be not good though, but I need you to
Okay.
answer it if you can. Um,
Yeah.
what what have you looked at or seen to where there needs to be areas that are not being looked at and should be looked at? You know what I'm saying? You know exactly what I'm saying. They kind of,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah. I hands down, women women veterans, it has been very apparent, and even with, the nonprofit that I work with, that was kind of the one of the first flags that I raised, is like, okay, so what are we doing specifically for women? Because yes, the demographic is slightly smaller here when it comes to the total, but I'm like, that doesn't mean that they don't deserve the same amount of care and attention, and you know what I mean? And so, and when if you even want to get even more specific, Black women veterans, you know what I mean? Like,
Woo!
yeah, like, I
Y'all, woo!
I I have friends who are, Black veterans, and, just hearing their stories, and it's just a whole different layer, and I in my heart just always aches just hearing these stories, and then knowing that, they make that transition to veteran status and they don't have any support, that, caters to them specifically. So that is something that, I have tried to address as well, and even just smaller gatherings. And of course, we love everybody and we're welcome, and you know what I mean? But we can't deny the fact that, Black women veterans have had a totally different experience, and, that causes for a different level of care and understanding. So, yeah.
Yes, it really do. It really do. And being one myself, yes, I have to agree with you. And like you said, we're not trying to deny or say that it's not happening to other women veterans, but I get it from all sides, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I get it from even the Black men veterans. I mean, I get it from there too, and you're kind of like, wow, and mostly just to say, well, you're in there. But I have to remind everyone, though, we volunteer. We're
Mhm.
not drafted, everybody. We're not.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
drafted. We volunteer going there to protect democracy
Right.
is what we do it for.
Right.
And it's, yeah, it's something, and needs to be looked at, needs to have more town halls and maybe more
Right.
roundtables need to
Absolutely.
be happening to see and say what's been going on,
Yeah.
literally.
Takes that
Even
collective voice. Collective voices.
yes,
Yeah.
have to do it that way, and again, we're not trying to say, oh, well, now Black women veteran needs to be lifted above all. That's not what's being said right now. What's being said is you're bypassing us, everybody. You need to look at us.
Yeah.
That's what we're
Yeah.
saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a struggle for sure. And being the first Black woman to make commander of American Legion Post 51, um, that's in itself, you know what I'm saying? Here
Right.
in
Exactly.
2026, and we did a first on that, you know.
Yeah.
Um, that's interesting,
Right.
but but we're not counting y'all, but we're just saying.
Absolutely. And you know what else? Something else I've identified that was a big thing too in general is that I've noticed just through just different community events and just, getting to know other veteran serving organizations. organizations, excuse me, a lot of young veterans are not really as engaged with the
Mhm.
veteran space in the veteran community. And that's been
Mhm.
interesting. And I have a hypothesis. Again, I don't know because I'm not a veteran, right? But just from hearing, some younger veterans speak, it's like they kind of are really trying to like separate themselves from their service, which has been really interesting to identify. And so,
Mm.
even just with some people within, my personal circle, I'll talk to them and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I served. I'm like, what? Like, you never mentioned this. You never, you know what I mean? Like, I had no idea. And, but now that I know that, I try to pair them with other, female veterans and things like that
Mhm.
so that they can have that kind of bringing them in. Like, like just making them feel comfortable and being like, hey, we don't have to talk about anything you don't want to talk about because I totally understand that, but I want you to understand that there is a space for you if you do want to talk about those things. Or if there is, if I can pair you with a veteran to have those conversations that, you feel like you can't really have with anybody else. That's important, right? So, yeah, I'm just noticing that there aren't as many young people engaged with like veteran
Mhm.
services, veteran events. So I've kind of made it also my personal mission to be like, come on, like, and, inviting people like, hey, there's this thing going on. Like, there could be some information that could be useful for you, so that, whether it's your benefits or just the things that you have access to because of your service, like you should be aware of those things and you should definitely, if you want to, but I think you should be utilizing those things,
Right, right. And and what have because that's being said a lot, right?
Yeah.
That the younger generation is not doing it. And I don't want you to name any names, but is there any specific things that you keep hearing repeatedly? Because I know a lot of them say, I don't want to sit at the bar and all they're just old stories and da da da. But they got things to do like climbing,
Right.
hiking. I mean, there's organizations that do stuff like so. What have
Yeah.
you like repeat like something that caught you like, wow, okay, that's
Hmm.
the reason why.
I I don't know if there's a specific like reason. I just feel like maybe it's an age gap thing and maybe they feel like there hasn't been something specifically targeted to their age demographic possibly. And I could be wrong, but that's
No,
just
no,
kind of
I'm
my
just
my
saying.
guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
no, that's why
they
I'm
want to
asking you.
be, yeah, they want to be probably around veterans that are their age. You know what I mean? Like they want to be around people that are in the same kind of, s- time in life or experiencing something similar or things like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, like I said, like some of them just have isolated, some of them have pulled back because they don't know how to re-engage with society. And so I'm thinking maybe if they seen other younger veterans getting together doing things like there are those hiking things, but I think maybe
Yes.
we do have to do a better job of specifically reaching out to them to like, I don't want to say pull them in, but kind of pull them in and just
Yeah.
show them like, hey, there's a space for you here too. And at least come once and see if you like it. And so, we recently hosted a health and wellness event, and I intentionally, invited a lot of younger veterans, and just to see them kind of engage with each other and start having those conversations, it made me so happy because I was like, exactly, like this is what we need. This is what we want to do because
Right.
this is for you, and and we're gonna do this together. And whether you come and you have the experience and it's not for you, but at least you came, at least you tried, at least
Right.
there's always a space you can come back to.
Yep, you engaged and you participated and you got out and you met new people and you talk with. Yeah, it's interesting to me too because I have a really good friend that I talk to that's in there right now and she went over to Kuwait and everything. She has a daughter and we talk and you're right. It's more or less those that are in that unit, they kind of hang out, but they really don't outside the unit, you know. It's
Right.
more like, hey, what do you yeah, and two and there's resource fairs that happen for when there's doing their weekend warriors, there's a place where there's resources you go to, and even there I have a table there, and they just kind of look at Nevada women trades and be like, oh well, when I get out I'm leaving, or when I get out I'm finna go over here, and that's what I kept hearing. When I get out I'm going. I'm like, wow, you're not even staying in Nevada.
Yeah.
You're leaving, and I don't want to do this no more. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
what
I keep hearing like a fresh start. Like everyone wants a fresh start.
yes,
Like they're
yeah,
just
I
like,
don't want to. I don't want to. I'm like, wow, but
yeah.
but you need a job though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what you think you do and
Yeah.
not have a.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's and yes, that was what I was hearing.
Mhm.
That exactly is what I was hearing, and I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Well,
Mhm.
you said a little bit about your job. We kind
Yeah.
of just hit that, but can you tell us a little bit about the job that you're doing now, and in your other things
In
that
my
you're doing
other
besides
realms?
that?
Oh man. Okay. So, yeah, currently I work with a nonprofit that focuses on supportive services for veterans. So, we host, events. We have an office that any point in time, if a veteran is, you know, just needing some company, or they need a meal to eat, or hygiene items, we run a emergency hygiene and food pantry. Or like I said, sometimes if you just want to hang out and you want to get out of the house, like we have a space for that too. Outside of that, I always say my ultimate goal is to make sure people feel seen, heard, and experience joy. So I have a lot of different avenues in which I do that. So, for instance, one of my hobbies is DJing. So, joy, right? I get to spread joy on the dance floor. So, that's a fun one. One of my other kind of special interests is affordable housing. So, I work in that space, figuring out how to build housing and how to do it from a communal lens, right? How to do it to make sure that you're working alongside community instead of against the grain, right? And it's not easy. It's very tough actually, but it's worth it, right? And so that comes with me hosting workshops for community. That comes with me just being in community, answering as many questions as I can about the process of building and development. Or, a lot of times community used to come to me with city related questions because I did some time at the city of Las Vegas. So it's like I try my best to educate, inform, and make sure that I can get an answer if I don't have it myself. So housing is something that everyone needs, right? It's a basic human necessity, and the fact that we're short so much housing is crazy to me, right? It's like you can't focus on the other social determinants of health if you can't even you don't have a roof over your head. Like that's
If you're not safe,
you're
that's
not
one of it,
safe. Like
right?
you're oh yeah, exactly.
Gotta
So
gotta gotta feel safe.
yes, exactly. And so it's like housing to me is the foundation of that safety and that care. So I work in that space specifically with kind of community advocacy and community outreach, and really bringing community in and educating and learning and growing with them so that we can figure out how to do it together, right?
That's good.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah. And then another special interest is food access. Making sure people have access to nutritious food. So that's something that I'm also trying to implement in my current position at the nonprofit is food advocacy. Right, we have to have food, healthy food, nutritious food, to be able to function properly, right? Down to, your brain and how it functions in your body and how you feel, right? So, Nevada, we truck a lot of our food in, and that's an issue. So, what do we need to do about the food infrastructure to make sure that if anything were to happen, people can still eat? So, I know
Yeah.
that's a lot. It's
Well,
in a lot of
I mean,
different.
we truck in everything. That's why our gas is higher
Yeah.
than California is sometimes,
Exactly,
right?
exactly, and our food
Because
too.
like the guy said today, it was interesting. I was finna go to one of my meetings today, and I caught it before I went out the door, and the guy says, because it was a little news thing, and it was talking about being hot, and the guy says, well, we're in the desert. What do people expect? In the desert, it's hot. We need to. And I went, you know what? He's right. We are in the desert, aren't we?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, we are in there. So yeah, it's hot. It's hot.
Yes.
But all the things you brought up is true, though. Food with and it all comes together. And um, you got to walk and chew gum at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just say, "Oh well, I'm gonna focus on food." Well, okay, you still got to focus on where to live. You still got to
Right.
afford
It's
where you
so
live at.
layered. It's
Um,
so layered.
it is. You need clothes. You need to make sure shoes are on your baby's feet.
Right.
You need to make sure that your parents or whoever you're taking care of and get taken care of. Social working things you need. I mean,
Mhm.
there is so much, and I say that to all the time. I said, no, we got to walk and chew gum at the same time. It's not
Right.
one fits all. And I
Right.
know we're waiting on it, and I'm not bringing politics, but I am going to bring politics in this. But we're waiting for President Trump to sign the housing bill that has been put forth by both houses to
Mhm.
help with some of this that's going on. So hopefully he will sign it, so that because that'll trickle down here.
Right.
Because again, we in Nevada tried to do a bill that was going to stop those from outside coming in doing what that, and that was not passed.
Yeah.
Here on the state legislation level, that was not passed. So hopefully on that Fed level, it'll get passed, and we can get into some, like you said, some housing to get,
Right.
and not only that, that'll help with veteran to untie some BLM land that we have here
Yep,
for veterans,
absolutely.
because there is land here that we should be using for veterans. So that's another fight that we have right now
Yeah,
that we're doing. But I agree with you. Even with the school, I believe we need to have free lunch for all those kiddos. I don't understand why that's not happening. I really
absolutely.
can't figure that one out either.
Yeah.
um I mean, I just look at myself like, I'm in love with canes, y'all. I'm sorry to say, it's probably not something good I need to be saying right now, but I am. And I know how I feel when I eat before I go into a meeting or something. You know what I mean? Because you eat and you're more calm,
Right.
and you're kind of, concentrating. But I call it hangry in the morning. You're hungry and you're mad, and then you don't eat. Your
Right.
stomach's crazy, your nerves are
Right.
off whack. And um and then for babies, you would think, wow, you know what I mean, like that has to be double the anxiety for them to
Yeah,
be hungry.
exactly.
And sometimes that's the only place they eat.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, we going through some stuff. We going through
Right.
some stuff.
Right,
Yeah, we
right.
are.
But
Yeah,
this
we
is
are.
why the food
And
access
so
piece is
what
so
are
important.
yes, yeah, and even too, I know, we had this conversation about right there on Owens and H in that area, that store right there. I thought it was going to turn into like a store where we have nutrition and have things that we could use.
Yeah,
And I don't know if that's still in the stars, or still can happen or anything like that. But that would be beautiful to have a store like that in the neighborhood right there.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, during my time working on some of those projects, it was like that store has always just been, it's always been tough. And some things that I heard is that the footprint is just too big. It's just too large of a store
Mm.
and things like that. So, but I do believe that there are some creative ways. I think some people forget that we can think about things creatively to address the needs. You know what I mean? We don't have to always follow the guidebook or the rule book. Like sometimes we have to get creative and, think about things differently. And so I think that the space definitely can be utilized in a different way that still improves food access. And I'm right along with you. Like, there has been some progress made, but the progress is it's been slow. And,
Yeah.
but I think that's why it takes community as well to be able to take action too, right? We can't always
Yeah.
wait for
Nope.
somebody to do it for us because we will be
Nope.
waiting forever.
Literally,
So
literally. Yeah. Yeah.
so I think I think there could be some different approaches for sure, but one thing that I am super proud of is that I was able to bring a farmers market, one of the first farmers markets to the historic West Side during my time at the city of Las Vegas. And that was amazing, to make sure that the community had fresh produce, access to it. And, so I was really, really proud of that and being able to do that. And, it's something that I definitely would like to get back into. But running markets is it's very layered for sure. So
Yes. Well, we're about there at our time. Is there anything that you would lastly like to say?
I would just like to say thank you so much for having me today. It has been a pleasure to discuss all things veterans and community. And I'm excited to continue learning and growing and just kind of being of service. Like I said, making sure people feel seen, feel heard, and, feel joy. So, yeah, thank you.
Do you have a website or any way that people can
Yes.
access you?
Yes. So I do a lot of my community work through Instagram. My Instagram is at poetic neighbor underscore. And then the website is www.poeticneighbor.com. So that's where I do all of my community advocacy work through.
Well, you heard her, everybody. You need to go on the website. You need to check her out on Instagram. You need some good music play. You got a little set you got doing, and she can come.
Yes.
You're thinking about starting your own community planting or even learning about that or how
Absolutely.
to get any
Yep.
produce done. You should help in any veteran tickets and community service on veterans and things like that. She's there. So everyone, go and check her out. Check out T. She's doing great work in the community, everybody.
Oh,
And
thank
make
you.
sure again that you all come back and check us out every first and third Wednesday at 7 p.m. on YouTube, Evelyn's Roundtable, and also my website, Nevada Women in Trades, is www.nevada.wit.org. Come and check us out. We are doing good things also. Well, thank you everybody for paying attention and watching us. And at the end, we always do the mission statement, everybody. And the mission statement is for all women to hold hands as we rise.
Voting is more than just a right, it's a powerful tool for change. Every vote counts and every voice matters. Voting protects your rights and helps to build a better future. And it's a way to hold our leaders accountable. Voting isn't just about the big elections either. Local elections impact our daily lives. It is important to study the candidates and the issues in order to make an informed decision. Don't sit it out. Your vote is your power. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.